Welcome to the Robert R. Shaw Center for STEAM. Robert R. Shaw was a board member, and this building was named after him. He was a school board member who loved kids, who loved science, and this building is built to honor him. So come on inside. This is where you'd get off the bus and you'd be coming in through these doors. This is our main central area. A lot of times when kids come in here, they go, wow, look at this. So come on over here. This is where you'd come and you'd sit down and we'd talk to you. This is a robotics field. So this building, one of the things it was built for was for kids to come and build robots. And when they want to test their robots for the competition, they bring them out here and drivers stand behind these windows right here and they drive the robot, and the robots go around in this field and they practice for competition. So this year, the field looks like this. It's not going to look like this every year because the competition changes every year. But in this year's competition for robotics, they needed to build this because one of the ways the robot scored points was it has to drive up here and hang on this. And another robot hangs on that side, and they're supposed to balance each other out. Another thing about this year's competition is the robot has to drive up here or wherever it can get, and it has to shoot a ball through that big hole. So if they make it through that big hole, they get 2 points. If they make it through the smaller hole behind that, they get 3 points. So the more accurately they can aim, the more points they get. Now, if they just want to get 1 point, the robot can come up here and drop it in this hole. So that's this year's game. Next year you might come, and this is completely different because the game's different. There's different ways for the robot to score points. So you might be wondering, well, what would I do if I came on a field trip? What would I do out here on the field? Here's what you guys would do. Certain activities, like for example, straw rockets, where we have a launcher and you build a straw and you make the rocket and just see how far it goes. You would come out here and we have little lines to measure how far your rocket goes. You'd be on one end there, and you would launch the rocket and you'd measure how far it went. Then, since we are engineers here, you would go back into your bay and try to design your rocket to go even further. So this is just one example. It might be you race a car. Sometimes we have strings lined out and you make a car and we pump it full of air and you race it down the track. Another thing we like to do on field trips is when it's lunchtime, this is where you eat lunch. So students gather in here and they get in groups. It's a lot of fun to sit with your friends and eat lunch here. And we like to show you videos about our robotics program. So the video you see right up here is a video of the competition from about a year ago. So at night and a lot of times on weekends during a regular school year, robotics students come and they build their robots. We've already talked about how they practice out here, but let's go into the bay where they actually build the robots. We're going to go into Cinco Ranch High School's Team 624 work bay and show you where they build the robots. This is the Team 624 work bay. They come in here. Now what they're doing is they're actually building a robot that looks like this. This is the robot that we talked about out there that needs to climb at the end, that needs to shoot a ball through the target, that needs to spin the spinning wheel. Programmers often sit here and do their programming code. Sometimes they take their laptop out there. We talked about the wiring. See how they have all their wires that they cut and then they take it over to the table to build. Sometimes they have to solder things with heat guns. The robots, they run on batteries, and look how many batteries they have to have because the battery will go out and they need to replace it. Another thing that goes out on robots all the time is engines. So here they have their engines, so if one fails, they just take it out, put in a new one, and fix it. We have saws, What if they want to cut a design into the metal? Then they're going to use this CNC machine, and you can see that they're cutting metal in there. They can program it. So all of these things are being done by high school students, and you can imagine if you were to join a team, how much you would learn. Of course, Cinco Ranch Team 64 is not the only team that meets here. We have Morton Ranch High School, we have Tompkins, we have Seven Lakes, we have Peyto High School, we have May Creek High School that have robotics teams that meet here. As we walk and giving you a tour, for example, this is the Tompkins Robotics Bay. They won the state championship recently. When you get to Seven Lakes Bay, you will begin to see the orange color of Seven Lakes. This is the shop. Over here we have a plasma cutter for cutting metal. This machine is probably the machine they use by far the most in this area, and this is a mill. And when they need to drill holes and they need it to be exactly precise, they put the metal in here, they put their calculations in here, and this will drill holes to the precise measurement that they need. We are a STEAM center, and the A stands for art, and this represents some things we do with art. This is a kiln, and the high school fine arts teachers who teach ceramics will come here, and the kids will make pottery. They'll put the pottery in here. This thing gets very, very hot, and beautiful pottery is made in this kiln. So that's one way we incorporate the A in STEAM, which is art. On this side of the center, our bays are not so full, and that's so that kids like you, students like you, can come here on a field trip and do fun things in these bays. Sometimes we have even little kindergartners making ice cream in here, but we might have fifth graders or junior high students doing the wind tube. See, we have a wind tube machine over here. So there's more than just wind tubes we would do in here. We'd do all sorts of things. Maybe you could make a terrarium, or maybe you would be making a car that you're going to race out there. But there are a lot of field trip activities, all ages, from kindergartners all the way to 8th graders come in these bays and make all sorts of things. And we like to keep them open so that kids can come in and build things. All right, I have one last area to show you, which is our classroom area. So come on, let's go inside the classroom. So we're in the classroom now, and you can see that the classroom is really 2 rooms. A lot of times we have it divided into 2 rooms. But what robotics kids do in here is they come in here, and a lot of times this is where they learn programming. So you'll have students who know programming teaching kids who don't know programming in here. Now, for a field trip, we divide the room into 2, and we do all sorts of activities in here. So, for example, our Sphero robots that are round balls and are robots that you program and drive, a lot of times we do those in the classroom. So we have blocks, we set up a maze, and then the students can drive the robots through the maze. So there's all sorts of activities we do in here. But there's all sorts of activities we do here in the classroom, and this is the final area that I wanted to show you about the Shaw Center. So if this was a field trip and it was the end of the day, you would have done about 6 really fun activities, maybe 4 in the bays, 2 in the classroom, and it'd be the end of the day, you'd be lining up right here, and you'd be heading out these doors right here, and then to your bus. And kids, when they leave, they're usually saying that it was a good day, a fun day. I hope you have a fun time on your virtual field trip as well. And we hope to see you here for our family STEAM nights or for a field trip next year or the year after that. But we want to see you here. We also have summer camps, and we'd like to see you here at a summer camp. So thanks for watching this, and we hope you have a great school year.